Very few Nintendo series are as intertwined as Mario and Zelda. Even if you don't count Super Smash Bros, these two have crossed over so much I think it's fair to say they are nearly sister series at this point, standing firmly together at the helm of Nintendo's flagship of franchises. While faces from Zelda appearing in the Mushroom Kingdom is admittedly quite rare, the reverse has happened a whole lot more, and that is what I want to take a look at today. Mario enemies that have crossed the borders of space and time to give Link trouble as well. The game we will be looking at thoroughly for that is Link's Awakening, well known for its many Mario nods, but I instead want to start with a different subset of games, one where you definitely wouldn't expect references to other Nintendo franchises since they were made by Capcom. The company best known for series like Mega Man and Street Fighter also created the two Oracle games, the Minish Cap and Four Swords. While Four Swords Adventures saw Nintendo pick up the reign again, that is also weirdly enough the game where references to the Mario series stopped appearing, as the final game to move familiar faces from the Mushroom Kingdom to Hyrule was the Minish Cap. And while the Minish Cap is already light on Mario enemies, it does mark the first time the Lakitus appears in a Zelda game. They can fittingly be found in the Cloud Tops, as well as the Palace of Winds, where they can only be defeated from range as they will hide away in their clouds when approached. Interestingly enough, they attack here by hurling lightning bolts at Link, which is distinctly different from what they do in the Mario games, which is throwing spinies, red turtle enemies with spikes on their back. Now, you may be thinking that the reason that was changed is because they didn't want to bring spinies over as well, but here's the thing. Spinies had been incorporated into the Legend of Zelda series for years at this point. Under the name Spiked Beetles, they debuted in Link's Awakening, before being brought back in all the Capcom developed titles, the Minish Cap included. Which means that even though Lakitus and what are essentially spinies do both appear in the Minish Cap, they are not linked as they are in Mario. That could be the result of Spiked Beetles deviating from spinies to an extent which we don't see much with other enemies. While others, as we'll see later, are lifted pretty faithfully, that doesn't apply to Spiked Beetles. Not only is the name different, albeit only in English and not Japanese, Spiked Beetles have also never been red. They've been grey, black and blue, but never the striking red coloration they sport in the Mushroom Kingdom. While their behavior in both series is quite similar, it's also not completely one-to-one, as Spiked Beetles will charge Link when they spot him, which spinies do not. Oh, and if you're wondering why they're called Spiked Beetles, even though they don't resemble the Zelda interpretation of a beetle at all, that's because they are named after Buzzy Beetles. These are Mario enemies and essentially the non-spiked variant of a spiny, confusingly enough. Another Mario enemy that can be found in the Minish Cap is the Bob-omb, which made its Zelda debut in Four Swords. They behave in quite similar ways to Mario games, although they don't have to be jumped on to be activated and instead can of course be hit with Link's sword. Link having to use them for puzzles or clearing obstacles is also more common than it is in Mario, where they're only sparingly used that way. What is noteworthy though is that they always appear in groups in Hyrule, which is behavior that isn't necessarily consistent with the Mario titles. While Bob-ombs were as such relatively late additions to the Zelda series, if you're of a certain age, you may remember them appearing in Link's Awakening as well. And I wouldn't blame you, because there is an enemy in that game which on the Game Boy very closely resembled a Bob-omb, but is technically not the same thing, the Bombite. Link's Awakening on Switch removes all doubt and gives them a distinct set of eyes to differentiate them from Bob-ombs, which was needed, because in terms of behavior they are identical to the Bob-ombs that would appear later in Four Swords. And speaking of Link's Awakening, I think it's time we start looking at that title for what is essentially the main course of this video. Possibly as a result of wanting the game to feel more dreamlike and bizarre, Nintendo packed this title with references to other games, most of which are from Mario, but Kirby-like enemies also make a weird appearance. In fact, the model of the enemy known as the Anti-Kirby in the Switch remake of Link's Awakening is just Kirby's Star Allies model retextured. Anyway, back to Mario now, starting with a duo of water-based enemies. Bloopers and Cheep Cheeps are not only by far the most commonly found enemies in the Mushroom Kingdom seas, they're also both to be found in Koholint, with behavior that is identical to the Mario series. While Bloopers would never return, Cheep Cheeps remain prevalent in the Zelda series, reappearing in both Oracle titles as well as Four Swords. Fittingly, considering their Mario origins, they can mostly be found in side-scrolling sections. Another Mario enemy who made the step to Zelda with Link's Awakening and then went on to make several more prominent showings was the Thwomp. In behavior, they are identical to their Mario counterparts, but in design there are quite some weird changes made. In both Link's Awakening and Oracle of Seasons, Thwomps have one eye, which they have never had in the Mario series. Their design in Four Swords Adventures, however, is much closer to the grey rock look we see all the time in Mario. And the boss head Thwomp from Oracle of Seasons resembles Mario's Thwomp in ruggedness, but not so much in coloration. That said, the latter is more like a different Zelda exclusive variant of a Thwomp anyway, since its ability to switch his face is something that has never even remotely appeared in Mario. The same goes for its ability to shoot Podoboos, which are also originally Mario enemies, although they have since been formally renamed to lava bubbles there. These also appear in Link's Awakening and are then brought back for both Oracle games, no surprises there. What is a lot more unexpected, however, is that these were actually brought back for Cadence of Hyrule of all games. They appear in lava-based areas of course, like the Gerudo Ruins, and are nothing too uncommon, but it is a very random game to suddenly be brought back in. Anyway, let's return to Link's Awakening for a quick fire round, featuring Mario enemies who only appeared in that title and never again. First we have the Boo, the little ghost enemies that get shy when you look at them. Well, in Mario that is. The Koholint variant has a lot more confidence and has no problem charging Link even when he's looking. They can be defeated by shining light on them, which has also on occasion been a way of defeating them in the Mario games, albeit game dependent. Another enemy who behaves completely differently in Zelda compared to Mario are the Shy Guys. In the Mario and Yoshi series, they are essentially just the most basic enemies ever, as all they really do is walk. In Zelda, however, they instead mirror Link's movements, making them quite tricky opponents to defeat considering their mask blocks sword attacks. Instead, you have to turn your back towards a Shy Guy and then perform a spin attack, which will then strike them in their unprotected back. As such, while Shy Guys received quite an upgrade in terms of capabilities when switching to Koholint, the same cannot be said for the Goomba, despite having essentially the same abilities in the Mario series. But yeah, in Link's Awakening, Goombas do the exact same thing they do in Mario. They walk from side to side and are only found in side-scrolling sections, meaning this is a very faithful rendition. The same applies to the Poke, which, true to their origins, can only be found in the Yarna Desert of Link's Awakening and the Samaza Desert of Oracle of Seasons. The way in which Link can defeat them also mirrors what has previously appeared in the Mario franchise, with the independent segments that have to be knocked away until the entire Poke is little more than a head and can be easily defeated. Pokes have consistently been green in Zelda, like the cacti they are, but in the Mario series they have predominantly been yellow. The sole exception was their debut game Super Mario Bros. 2, where they also appeared green, a coloration which was discarded during the development of Super Mario World. And while we're on the topic of Super Mario Bros. 2, we have to acknowledge Mamu here, who may not be an enemy of Link, but certainly is one of Mario. He appears as the final boss of Super Mario Bros. 2 under the name Wart in English, but Mamu in Japanese, meaning this is definitely an intended reference. That said, nothing of Mamu's appearance in Link's Awakening is reminiscent of his role in Subcon, the setting of Mario Bros. 2. He instead is a frog singer, who teaches Link the Frog Song of Soul, and then leaves to go on tour with his choir, never to be seen again. It's easily the most bizarre connection in this video, especially since Wart or Mamu is yet to make a single reappearance in a Mario game, unlike all other foes we've talked about so far. While they are a lot more common, piranha plants are also a bit of a weird case, all things considered. With their iconic Mario design, piranha plants have only appeared in Link's Awakening, but you could even argue Deku Babas are based on the piranha plant, which preceded them in the Zelda series, considering the Babas weren't added until Ocarina of Time. Manhandla, a boss from the original Zelda on NES, also strongly resembles piranha plants, with the Japanese manual of the game even saying the boss is a four-limbed, jumbo-sized variant of the Mario enemy, which would make it the oldest Mario reference in the entire Zelda series. However, I think it's fair to say Manhandla is more of a reference than an actual Mario enemy, which means the title of first appearance of a Mario enemy in Zelda goes to the only one we have left to cover, the Chain Chomp. While all other Mario enemies made their Zelda debut in Link's Awakening or later, Chain Chomps were first present in A Link to the Past, and were actually meant to be Zelda enemies first and foremost. However, the design of what the Japanese call 1-1 would end up getting passed around and used in Super Mario Bros. 3 before it could ever make its Zelda debut, although that did eventually end up happening on the SNES. As you would expect based on that story, chain chomps work exactly the same between both series, being chained to a post and charging at the hero as they appear. While they are hostile enemies in their original Zelda appearance, Link's Awakening changes this up and makes them domestic pets kept by Madame Meow Meow. The most prominent of these is Bow Wow, which is a literal translation of 1-1 and so has the same name in Japanese as the Mario enemy. One of its fellow chain chomps, known as Chow Chow, is also noteworthy for being able to speak, which is something chain chomps in the Mario series have never really been able to do. These black dogs would make 2 more appearances in the Zelda series, in 4 Swords and 4 Swords Adventures, before they too would be cast aside. Although their history in the Zelda franchise is referenced in Hyrule Warriors, with 2 gauntlet weapons bearing their image. But with 4 Swords Adventures being the last Zelda games to actually feature Mario-based enemies, and that only being ones who previously appeared in Zelda at that, I think it's fair to say we have truly seen the end of these crossover hijinks. We're now close to 20 years of no original titles featuring Mario enemies, but the opportunity has been there. Just recently, Echoes of Wisdom introduced a new enemy known as the Platboom, which 1-to-1 does the exact same thing as a Thwomp, just without the Mario branding. It indicates Nintendo is done with these exchanges, and while little reference here and there are definitely not off the table, I doubt we'll ever see a Mario enemy waltz into Hyrule ever again. And the reverse never really happened to begin with, so I wouldn't get my hopes up there either. But say they would continue, which Mario enemy would you like to see end up in Hyrule? Or the other way around for that matter? Share it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel to stay updated on all my future Zelda content coming up. For now, thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.